Welcome to the introduction, Mapping Your Vision. This chapter is all about you figuring out what vision, more in particular, what love-based vision do you desire to create for yourself? In this chapter, we start out with a quote that I absolutely love by Marianne Williamson. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." So I really like to start with vision. The reason I start with vision is if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to be able to consciously create day-to-day activities to help you get there. So for my clients, the first thing we do, and I actually call it a love-based vision, is I ask my clients to craft and create a love-based vision. What is it that you love more than anything in the world to do, to be? Where do you want to be in your personal life, in your professional life? This entire chapter is helping you to realize and to wake up and remember that if you don't have a vision, a love-based vision of where you're going in your life, then what's the point of doing any personal development work? So in this chapter, you're going to read a little bit about vision, why it's important, how it plays out. You're going to hear a little bit about my personal story of what happened for me when I had a great wake-up call a few years ago, which really started my vision to write this book. And you're going to hear about a really interesting lady named Gina who taught me the whole process of how to shut up and sit. Now, you can read all this on your own. Again, like I mentioned in the introduction video, I'm not going to teach you every single piece of content in each chapter, but I'm going to guide you through these videos to help you understand how to use what's in these chapters. You're going to hear a little bit of my human story. You're going to hear a little bit of science and data. You're going to have some ways to work in each chapter in what I call tools for wow. And you're also going to have shut up and sit exercises. You don't want to skip any of these. I've designed this book also to incorporate right and left brain. Now, what does that mean? A lot of times in personal development, we jump right into the left brain and we just want to know and we cram as much information in as we can, and then we expect ourselves to regurgitate that information at will just like that. That's not the way behavior change works. We're talking about giving you information, but helping you to kind of eat it, I say, kind of like if you think about food, just meal by meal, piece by piece. And the way that I help the flow of that through this book is I incorporate some right brain activities. So you're going to notice throughout our chapters here that there's some poems. There's some things that help you to kind of pause so that you don't read this like a novel. This book was not designed to be read on your bedside table and in multiple chapters at a time. If you did that, you wouldn't retain everything. So I want to tell you right out of the gate in the introduction, slow down, pace yourself. This is something that you're going to be spending several weeks on, in my opinion. Now, could you watch all of these videos in 1 week? Sure. Do you need to watch them over and over? Some of them you might need to repeat. We're talking about breaking down lifelong habits that are preventing us from achieving the vision that we aspire to create for our lives. So I want to just remind you, be easy about this, have a little bit of fun, but know as you start with the introduction and you start crafting your vision statement that this book is different. I tell clients a lot, it's like a user manual for your mind. We're giving you a deep dive into understanding how your mind works. We're ultimately teaching you how to master your mind here. So this isn't something that, let's say you went to go decide today that you wanted to go get a master's degree in something. You would take 2 years at least to get a master's degree in something. So this mastery of behavior and aspiration, which I call an inner MBA, really, I want you to think about that. You're doing work here. Every time you sit down with this chapter and every time you watch the videos, you're working at improving your mindset and taking control of your mind. So in the introduction, make sure that you read all of what's in here about vision. You're going to actually, halfway through the chapter, you're going to see a tool for wow already being offered up. And the tool for wow in this one is getting you to imagine seeing yourself in its most perfect, loving, optimal, positive state. And then giving yourself permission to dream and actually craft a love-based vision based upon what you see. Next in the introduction, you're going to see a really cool poem. So remember, I just said we go into some left brain, and then all of a sudden you might go, whoa, Yetta just threw me a poem. Because I want you to kind of think about having an ability to just stop. When we read poetry, we activate the right brain. And then it slows us down so we can kind of digest, if you will, what we're taking in. So this isn't something that we're on a race to hurry up and get across the finish line. So I'm purposefully and intentionally pacing you right out of the gate to help you understand there's an ebb and flow. You're going to want to pick this book up every day. It might be for 5 minutes. It might be for 50 minutes. This is a book that you use ongoing. You might even find you want to come back and read and review sections at times. So you're going to think about this book and this course very much like a textbook if you were enrolled in a course or a college class. You're going to also think about the videos the same way. Repeat, repeat, repeat. That's how we change our beliefs and our patterns and behaviors, is we repeat the information. You've got to learn a new way of showing up. And we start out with that right out of the gate in the introduction. So once you read, you do your tools for wow in the introduction, you experience our poem, you're going to be able to sit down and you're going to craft what I called a love-based vision. This is where you're going to get your journal out. You're going to make some notes. And here's the question I have for you. If anything was possible for you, what type of life would you aspire to create for yourself? I want you to really dream. I want you to imagine right now, I've handed over, and I'm going to call it a fairy wand. I'm going to hand over a magical wand, fairy wand, magical wand, it doesn't matter. So right now I'm handing you this magical wand that says, anything is possible. What type of life do you dream of creating for yourself? If you don't have a vision of that, this is your opportunity to take the wand, sit down and imagine, where do I dream of going? And here's a fun exercise that I'm going to add in addition to what's in the book. This is something somebody taught me a long time ago called the Fantasy Friday. I want you to take that magical wand, to sit down and close your eyes and say and ask yourself, it's Friday, which actually I'm filming the video today. It is Friday. It's Friday. And 10 years from now, with your eyes closed, where would a fantasy take me? To have a Fantasy Friday experience, meaning I wake up 10 years from now on a Friday. Where do I dream of going? Who am I with? What's happening? I want you to write it in great detail. And remember, anything's possible. I did this exercise almost 10 years ago. And when I did this exercise for the Fantasy Friday, I actually had written down, and I didn't bring my journal today, but I could show it to you. I show it to a lot of clients. I actually wrote down in my journal that I'd be waking up and I had my dream house. It was a white house with a white picket fence with gorgeous flowers, that my son would be enrolled in a private school. I would be self-employed. I had so many things just written in great detail. And I had forgotten about this Fantasy Friday exercise. And one day when I happened to grab the journal off the shelf, I opened it up and I looked at it and I realized I live in the house with the white picket fence, with the flowers. My son is in a very wonderful, incredible private school. I'm owning my own company. And so when I looked at that, I realized thought does have power. The vision I placed on that paper, I actually had created. But here was what I realized. I had forgotten all about writing that vision down and put it on a shelf. So I sat down and I said, I want to write another vision. This one I called a love-based vision. And I thought, what would happen if I had that vision and what I had written down, I literally read every single day. I focused on the words and how it felt to see that vision alive in my life, and I consciously worked at creating that vision. So I did that almost 6 years ago. And that vision actually had in it that I had written, or should I say created, a cutting-edge personal development guide. I had lots of things written down about this guide, and I was dreaming, you guys. I took the magical wand. I was dreaming. And now today I'm sitting here filming a video for you on the cutting-edge personal development book and course that I now teach all over the world. Vision has power. So this Fantasy Friday exercise, allow yourself to dream. Read the introduction, you'll get a little bit more, you'll do the exercises, and then sit down and journal with this Fantasy Friday and see where it takes you. So now we're going to wrap up our introduction and we're going to start to move into chapter 1. So when you're ready, I'll see you over in chapter 1. See you soon.